Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Shotway48. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to some more spoiler alerts of My Hero Academia chapter 379. Things are about to get epic on this chapter, guys, because we want to know why is Lady Nagat helping Deku, and we already know why she's helping because she's after revenge of All for One. Now that she's, did her part, things are actually going a little bit upwards to the Toy Heroes, and especially for Deku because we already know he's about to pass out any second now, so he's probably got to make his move by then. So let's see what this chapter is. I really don't know what it is, but I think it's about Shigaraki taking out or defeating All for One. I don't know how he's going to do it, but let's see. So let's go check this out. Let's do this.
Details about chapter 379 of My Hero Academia are here, so let's get to it. Thank you to Rukasu, Dobby's Pole Dance, and Justice Explode. And the title of this chapter is 379 Hopes. This week we do get a great color page showing the updated designs for Labrava and Gentle, who both did return very recently in the manga, with Labrava returning like 2 chapters or 3 chapters ago, and Gentle, we know, just returning last chapter in the series. Now, according to Rukasu, the chapter begins with a flashback of the Central Hospital just after Kurogiri woke up. Everyone is screaming, and we see Dr. Mario saying that Nagant can't go moving around, but she tells him to shut up and tell her the enemy's location. Now, if you remember correctly, during the whole mutant uprising section of the war arc, we did have Spinner going after Kurogiri and try to release him from Central Hospital, and we did know previously from the Vigilante Deku arc that Lady Nagant was also being held in that same hospital because her injuries were just that bad. Well, now we're learning the exact circumstance of how Nagant got involved in the battle, and we do see her walking away from her hospital room. It looks like her hair was grown actually a little tiny bit, very much like All Might when he was walking away from Night Eye in that flashback, with him pretty much dragging himself against the wall covered in bandages. But again, Nagan gets really mad at the doctor pretty much trying to keep her out of the fight, and she says, "Shut up, tell me the villain's location right now." And the doctor says, "I can't do that because you're in custody, so as much as I know you want to help, I really can't allow you to." But Nagan looks really heartbroken by this, right, and really determined as she remembers Deku's words when he asked her to fight with him against All for One and the villains. And she pretty much sees this as a situation where it's not like she can just give up on fighting together with the heroes because of Deku's impassioned speech during their fight. Rocklock then shows up and says that he'll allow her to join the war, and he hands her a device that contains all the information about the villains. It's then when we cut back to the present day and we actually see Nagant sitting on the roof aiming towards UA, and we see the blowback from the first shot that she fired off at Shigaraki actually causes all the wounds in her body to reopen again, as we see that she did take some damage all over from just letting that off when she wasn't healed yet. But Nagant says that she wants to get at least one more shot off to pay back Hawks and Deku for bringing her out of the darkness and reminding her of the meaning of her existence. And it also seems like Nagant believes that every little last bit of effort from everyone will matter in this battle here. And we've definitely seen that there are a lot of situations in this war arc that can only be resolved because of everyone's storylines converging together and being resolved. It wouldn't be able to just be dealt with by one person alone, no matter how hard they tried. So Nagant is absolutely right here in saying that the right thing to do is to try to get another shot off no matter what it means to her, because every last drip of effort from everybody is gonna be what helps them win this fight. And as we see a younger Lady Nagant on the page, as it kind of goes through the ages of her being young and then her being a hero, we see her current form again standing in the rain, not being stopped by it, as she lets off another shot towards UA, and again we still don't really have an explanation for the sparkles that are in front of her face, but they are still really pretty. Shigaraki's regeneration can't be working all that great because his hand doesn't instantly regenerate from the first shot that happened in the last chapter, so as he tries to slam his other hand down on the ground towards UA to use decay, his other hand is then hit off by Lady Nagant's shot. And Deku instantly understands what's happening as he smiles, though tears are still streaming up his face of his energy, and he grabs the ground, kind of being resolved knowing that all his villains are coming together here to help him save Shigaraki. And again, this is all really good because Deku does need a momentary break here to breathe, and anything that helps him get that is a net positive. We then cut to the inner All for One screaming with hatred, saying that it makes no sense for trash like Lady Nagat, who killed innocent people and even allies, to play the victim. And at that moment, fingers start coming out of All for One's mouth within the
Gross.
vestige world as black liquid spills everywhere, and we see his mouth forced open by the many fingers that we know that Shigaraki is capable of forming from his body. And that's exactly what the fingers represent, right? They all represent Shigaraki, who laughs at All for One and says that his plan to use others didn't work out. He also says that he knows that All for One only raised him to piss off All Might, and that he wanted to use that hatred to steal One for All, but that plan also turned out to be a failure. And as Shigaraki is saying this, we see a flashback, kind of all the little moments between Shigaraki and All for One from the My Villain Academia arc when Shigaraki had his remembrance of his past. And then we cut to the inner vestige world where we see a massive swarm of hands protecting Tenko inside of Shigaraki's psyche, as Shigaraki is saying he's keeping his psyche away from All for One by locking his origin away deep within him. Specifically, Shigaraki says that the fusion between All for One and Shigaraki seemed like it worked, but Shigaraki kept his origin hidden deep within his heart, and this allowed him to get his personality back little by little without All for One noticing, creating a way out of his control. Slowly but surely, Tenko starts to stand up as all the hands inside of the vestige world start to help him up, and All for One, realizing that the situation is getting vastly out of his control, starts to despair, and he tries to order Kurogiri to teleport him to where his true body is, but Kurogiri actually begins to glitch. Kurogiri says he needs to protect Shigaraki, but we slowly see more of Shirakumo's face as Shirakumo begins to say, "Who? Where? Friend." And it seems like the original Kurogiri personality is once again waking up within Kurogiri, which is going to make things really, really interesting, because we know that a lot of that core personality was used to make Kurogiri to be the perfect assistant to Shigaraki. But with Aizawa in danger, it's going to be interesting to see what Kurogiri ends up doing and who he actually ends up saving. Because realistically, there might be a way for him to save Shigaraki and Aizawa, with everyone kind of coming against All for One here. Shigaraki continues his speech saying that he doesn't need All for One. His heart will never surrender, just like Nagat or Gentle. And that's not to say that he thinks he's becoming a hero or anything, but the world as it is right now originated in the house which he was born in, and that's why Tamura Shigaraki and Tenko Shimura's wish is the same. And as Shigaraki starts to say all these things, inside of the vestige world, the fingers start to grow out of All for One's mouth to a rapid extent, and Shigaraki actually burst out of the vestige of All for One, completely tearing the fake version of him apart, as the hands help Shigaraki to completely break free. He ends his speech with, "Our wish is to destroy everything that has to do with that house," as he smiles and Shigaraki's hair actually gets shorter and goes back to his normal length. And we see on the next page Shigaraki all by himself, as the usual regular Shigaraki that we've missed for so long is finally back. Shigaraki then says, "And that's the only thing that will save me, hero," destroying everything that has to do with that house. But as he's saying that, in a matter of seconds, Deku is actually speed blitz Shigaraki with his full speed, and he actually bumps his head against Shigaraki's, sending him flying out of UA, and we see the two in the skies outside of UA as Deku is taking Shigaraki to an entirely different location, Ichigo versus Aizen style. Gento and Mirio get confused by Deku moving Shigaraki, but Deku says that Shigaraki already has all of his quirks back, so the flying coffin has become useless and he no longer has to put the rest of them in danger. As Shigaraki and Deku are now on solid ground, face to face, completely alone in a destroyed section of Japan, we see Deku saying, "I won't let you do that, but I'm also not going to ignore the you who was crying." He then ties Shigaraki's hands using Black Whip, and now the two of them are on solid ground again, and that is the end of the chapter, with Shigaraki leaning forward ominously with his face completely covered in shadow, as his eyes pierce through the darkness, and we see Deku ready to continue the battle as a massive wave splashes over them and lightning strikes in the air, and our final battle picks back up again.
Okay, alright. Yeah, I told you this chapter was going to be epic to hear and see. But now, it's gone way beyond epic. Now that Shigaraki is free, he got his quirks back, but he's not the same. He is the same, it's just he's not going to make a change. And of course, he actually didn't really need any help. He could have done that in the beginning of the war, but it probably took him a while to, control himself. But Now that Deku and Shigaraki are now by themselves fighting each other head to head, we don't know who's going to win or who's going to survive. It may be Deku might save him by himself, well, and the others interfere in his battle. Who knows? But I really want to check out what's going to happen next because we've been waiting for an epic battle between Shigaraki and Deku for a while. And even though they had some ups and downs in the past, and even though Deku did have the upper hand to take on Shigaraki because he had allies and stuff, but still, this is his moment. This is actually Deku's moment to show him show Shigaraki what he's truly made of. Because honestly, he Deku really needs to catch his breath at the moment. But hopefully, I'm guessing that maybe Baku may show up eventually, or maybe someone else. I don't know. But Shigaraki has to be taken care of. And now that everyone else is pretty much, I don't know, somewhere fighting villains, or who knows. But I'm looking forward to see what happens at the end of the next chapter. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Alright, guys. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. This is Shockwave 48. Peace out.